Welcome back to OK Hobby Time. In today's video we're building a terrain piece for Trench Crusade, the grimdark tabletop game set in an alternate World War I, where supernatural monsters, undead soldiers, and divine crusaders battle in the blasted no man's land. It blends historical trench warfare with occult and religious themes to create a really unique and interesting setting. There's one piece of art in particular by Mike Franchina, the creator of the game, that I think depicts the setting of Trench Crusade perfectly. The towering cross juxtaposed in no man's land is a striking visual and will be my reference for this terrain piece. I start out with what helped inspire the build direction for this piece, these 3D prints from the creator Diceverse. Unlike some of my other builds where I create from absolute scratch, I decided to kitbash a bunch of 3D printed bits together to create the ultimate Trench Crusade terrain piece. Another file I've been looking to use was this artillery cannon from the creator Station Forge. I decided to print this with my resin printer since that's what this file was optimized for. It was fun to use both the FDM and resin printer for this build. Every so often I get an itch to use these machines when they've been sitting for a bit, and this project was the perfect opportunity to use both of them. This cannon is great. It matches the reference artwork and will be the perfect complement to the cross and all the other bits I'll be adding. I'm already thinking of printing more of these cannons as a separate project, just to have a few to scatter around the battlefield. They fit the vibe really well. The cross was printed in two sections, which meant it needed to be glued together. The downside to this is the slight gap you get when attaching the parts, but I fixed this later on in the video. I went absolutely all in on the Trench Crusade Kickstarter, including picking up their official DIY trench terrain kit. They're beautifully sculpted, but I wish they were a bit more optimized for the FDM printer. Thankfully this was an easy fix. It only required taking off the overhanging piece at the top. I was able to do this directly in my slicing software, creating a 90-degree cut that left only the face of the trench remaining. I also sized these pieces up to 2 inches in height to match the foam I'd be using. I originally tried printing these standing upright, but that didn't work out too well. So I canceled the print and changed them to lay flat on the print bed. They printed perfectly with no need to support. I also printed the corners flat, which meant cutting them into 2 pieces each. They were sliced cleanly, so it was no problem gluing them back together. At this point I had a bunch of printed pieces to start playing with, and I couldn't help but start arranging some rough layouts of the build. The interior portion of the trench will be made out of XPS insulation foam. In the future I may look into alternate materials when creating a full set of these modular trench pieces. Something like extruded polystyrene could cut down the price in half. My local hardware store doesn't carry 2-inch foam, so I'll be combining 2 sheets of 1-inch foam together. I hand cut the foam a bit bigger than needed, that way I can use my hot wire cutter to make the final cuts, which also results in cleaner edges. I'm off camera, so I feel like it's important to mention that when cutting foam, I'm making sure my space is ventilated and I'm wearing a respirator. Time to glue our foam sections together. This is done with a generous amount of wood glue and letting it sit to dry. Next up is the fun part, where I get to stick all the trench pieces to the foam structure. I size these to be 2 inches tall so they line up with the foam perfectly. This process of making modular trenches couldn't have been any easier. At this point I wanted to dry fit everything once again, and I was pretty excited with how everything was turning out. It's the little details that make a great terrain piece, and to help tell a larger story. I went back to Diceverse's shop to get some more of these awesome detail bits to complement the rest of the build. Bullet shrines and crosses are a staple within the Trench Crusade setting, so they were a must-have for this build. It was a bit of a pain printing out each cross in 2 pieces and gluing them together. Next time I'll be printing these on my resin printer, especially since these pieces are on the smaller side. The great thing about using foam is its ability to be textured with something as simple as rolled up tin foil. In this next part I'll be building up the trench with a rocky section that the cross will stand on. This will create a bit of dimension to the overall build. I'm returning to a technique that I featured in my very first YouTube video. By cutting a few horizontal lines across the foam with a bunch of random vertical lines, a straight edge can be used and dragged along the foam to create a texture that looks a lot like sedimentary rock. I love the results this technique creates, however the amount of mess it produces is crazy. It honestly wouldn't be so bad, but the tiny pieces of XPS foam are statically charged once dragged off, so it makes cleaning up even harder. I'm also using my utility knife to make horizontal cuts to emphasize the layered look of the rock. Doing this really helps blend the sides to the top and creates a more realistic look. I repeat these steps for a smaller rocky section that will sit on top. These pieces are glued together and placed in a way that creates a stepped hill. This section is then glued to the larger trench section. With the final trench structure done, I can get my final placements figured out. This includes the cross, sandbags, artillery cannon, wooden walls, and the smaller bits such as oil drums and this utility pole that was also in the reference artwork. I'm touching up a few of the 3D prints with plastic putty. This stuff is great at filling gaps that naturally occur when printing files and parts on the FDM printer. This 3D print doesn't include my favorite part of the artwork, which is the radio antennas that give the cross a surreal vibe. I decided to create this part using thin styrene rods. I created a simplified version of the antennas that stayed true to the artwork while still being appropriately scaled for the tabletop. This stuff is really easy to cut using model clippers and can be glued together instantly using CA glue and CA glue accelerator. I've been really enjoying getting into Trench Crusade. In addition to the stunning artwork, the game itself is a bunch of fun. The game design is created by Thomas Pirinen, who has an impressive portfolio including Warhammer 6th Edition and Mordheim. Trench Crusade is a skirmish game that only requires a few miniatures to play with easy to grasp rules that are all contained within a single rulebook. It's the type of wargame I like to play these days. Quick, fun, and cinematic. Another piece in the artwork that's currently missing is this large cable that runs the full length of the cross. This was added using a thicker gauge armature wire and bending it to the desired shape. I'm super happy with how this cross turned out. It's a great example of being able to add your own creative touch to a 3D printed piece. At this point, I'm gluing down the rest of the pieces into their final spots. I had a pretty good idea of where all my pieces were going to go, thanks to the dry fitting I was doing along the way. The key thing I was keeping in mind was the reference artwork, and the overall composition needed to get the same look. I took some liberties with the amount of space between the objects since I wanted this to be a playable terrain piece and have room for models. The wire going from the cross to the utility pole is attached using CA glue and accelerator. I really like this detail in the reference artwork, and I'm glad I was able to capture it in the terrain piece. Next, I'll be working on the ground portion of the terrain piece. I start by covering the foam in wood glue, then getting a brush saturated in water to dab the glue around to get full coverage. This next part was a bit messy, so I did it off camera. I covered the glue in coarse sand to give the ground a nice texture. I coat the remaining exposed foam in Mod Podge so it doesn't melt from the spray paint. I went outside and primed this entire piece in this interesting reddish brown. I then used my airbrush to slap on some quick color, but this step could probably have been skipped in retrospect. I'm using a mid-tone gray to block in color across the rock section, the trenches, and the cross. I'm stippling this on and leaving a bit of the brown color showing through for some extra dimension. I mix a bit of a lighter gray into my original color to create a highlight color. This is also stippled on. The sandbags were painted with another coat of beige to make them pop a bit more. At this point I took a step back and evaluated the paint scheme of the trench walls. The gray wasn't working and looked too bright for the direction I wanted to go for this piece. So I put those filled trench wall prints to use and used them as a way to test a bunch of other paint schemes. I tried a few different directions, a couple lighter, more natural tones, and some darker. Now was the time to find what I liked, especially if I plan on rolling this out across a whole set of these modular trench pieces. One thing that I knew I wanted to keep consistent was the wood tone. I kept this burnt umber to be consistent with the wood in all my other painted terrain. Once the burnt umber is dried, I'm giving the wood a dry brushing of lighter brown to create some highlights and give the paint job some more dimension. This next part honestly feels like a cheat code for making terrain look good. Using pigment powder instantly creates some really nice dimension and can help blend a paint job together. You can make your own powders by shaving down soft pastels. The great thing about this is that a set of pastels can give you pretty much every color you'd ever need. The black pigment on a gray base is much closer to the original vision that I had, and is so far my favorite. I liked a bunch of the others, but ultimately decided to go with the gray and the black, also including some rust effects on the pieces that have a metal component. I repainted the gray to get the base coat ready for this new scheme. Then painted all the wood pieces, including all the wood bits on the top of the build. Sandbags were cleaned up with another coat of beige. The artillery cannon was given a coat of olive green to help it stand out a bit more. At this point I painted in an important detail. A couple of my oil drums were instantly turned flammable with a coat of red paint. The ground was cleaned up with a coat of brown, making sure to get all the spots I spilled over with the gray. Brown pigment powder was used to create shadows within the sandbags, placing this within the cracks to create some depth. Black pigment powder was used on all the trench pieces, creating some really nice shadows throughout. This was also used on other parts of the build, such as the cross to create some wear and tear, and the rocky section, making sure to focus on the deepest recesses. The metallic details were all painted with some silver paint. Next, I worked on the exposed sections of the cross. The first step was to cover the rebar in dark rust paint. Once dried, I used some bright orange pigment powder to emphasize the rust effect. This bright orange was also used on the artillery cannon for some interesting contrast. The wooden bits were also hit with some of this orange to create some consistency throughout the piece. I dry brushed silver on the highest parts of the cross's rebar to finish the weathered look. Little details such as skulls were then painted, and then the bullet within the bullet shrine. It's time to finish the ground, starting with a quick dry brush of gray to create a stony texture. A coating of glue was applied over the entire surface to prep for the next step. coarse flock was applied throughout. This is my usual ground covering technique, but I feel like it has too much life for something within the Trench Crusade setting. So I grabbed my muddy ground texture effect and started applying this all over. I felt like this mix with the underlying flock created some nice variation. And with that done, this build is complete. Ready for our faithful soldiers to defend against the legions of the underworld. It was fun exploring this grimdark setting of Trench Crusade. There's a few things I learned that I'll keep in mind when creating a full table's worth of trench terrain, but overall I'm happy with how this turned out. Alright, that wraps up this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.